Okay. Can we take our seats so that we can start? Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this third interregional thematic seminar of the Interreg Europe project SPEEDUP, funded by the European Union under the Regional Development Fund provisions. For the remainder of the day, we will be involved in, I hope, I expect, interesting and useful talks on the topic of the project and also the topic of this seminar, which is about supporting specific target groups such as young people, migrants, and female entrepreneurs. A very hot topic, I might say, and also the environment around us, the building we are hosted in, I think it's a good piece of evidence of how important the topic is, the topic of innovation and the entrepreneurship creation in the eyes of the city of Florence, who is our host and also the overall responsible for this event and the SPEEDUP project too. My name is Francesco Molinari. I was appointed as facilitator on behalf of ANCI Toscana, a partner of this project, and my task will typically be the one of, let's say, keeping the timing and also animating the discussion. Today is a rather strange day. We know that some speakers could not attend due to the bad weather conditions, especially yesterday in the Florence area and the airport area. So our program will be facilitated on one hand because we used to have many more presentations and the agenda was quite tight. So now we are a little bit more relaxed. There will be more time for, I hope, interaction and discussion. I feel that most of you scheduled today as speakers also know other speakers because of joint attendance to projects and initiatives. So I hope the discussion will be very interactive today. In case it is not, I will supplement with my own with my own questions. I was a bit amicably criticized by someone because I shared these questions before the event. I think it was fair, not, let's say, haunting for anyone, but in case you found any of the questions impolite or haunting, feel free not to answer. But I will feel free to repeat the question twice. Okay, that is enough for me. Now I would like to give the word to our host. First of all, Lucia De Siervo. She's a director at the municipality of Florence, and she will speak on behalf of the deputy mayor to introduce our work today. Thank you, and word to you.
Good morning, and welcome to the third interregional thematic seminar here in Florence. What are we speaking about? About the support of specific target group, as we just Francesco told, such the young people, migrants, and female entrepreneurs. So now, today, and also tomorrow, it will be interesting to focus our attention to these specific items. As usual, it's a pleasure for me to host the project SPEEDUP. here in Florence. I see that the partners, not all, we just told that someone is lost in Europe. I don't know if he will come this evening or tomorrow, I don't know. So we have Antwerp lost and also Lisboa. We think for them. Because I think that why I'm proud, because I think that this group is an interesting group. All the partners, every time we meet each other, we really put our ideas, our best practice to look if our best practice is really best also for others, and we share the practice. And so we think is a good group that work well together. As you know, I am the director of the economic department of Florence, and I give you the saluti, the welcome also from Cecilia Del Re, our deputy mayor, that you know in Lisboa, but today she's ill, so she can be there. I'm sorry. And you know, here in Florence we work a lot. We had the chance. There are the our partners, local partners, our stakeholders in SPEEDUP, because we use the project to reflect together about our ecosystem of SME, how our ecosystem in Florence could be could be more stronger, and so also there we have many meetings to think together and reflect how to improve our ecosystem for the new entrepreneurs. So I think it could be really interesting today to speak about only three different items, but to have the chance to really understand something more, to go deeper in our reflection, because if we don't use the focus group to go inside our idea, it could be something interesting, but really general. So today I think it could be something that our group could found interesting and strong for our community. So you're welcome, and good job to all.
Thank you, Lucia. And so now let's start by the first part of this morning's workshop, until the coffee break. So let's be brave, let's behave, and we will deserve our break shortly. According to the agenda, I have now to invite to the floor Marika Macchi from the University of Florence, who is our keynote speaker for today. I hope not to raise the expectations on you too much, but I'm also very curious to learn from you, because I, as you will learn later, practice some of the things that you preach. So I will be listening to you, and I don't have any question by now, so be relaxed.
Okay. Thank you. Too much pressure, so I bring with me Lorenzo Zoppi. He is the urban scientist part of our research group. Good morning to everyone. First of all, I apologize for my very poor English, so please take a little bit of patience with me. And Well, I'm very glad to be here because I have the chance to show you the next step of our research that I presented in Lisboa, and so it's particularly exciting for me to share with you our funding just for now. Well, in Lisboa, we have shown you the idea of a urban platform, the very theoretical and abstract idea. And now the next step of our research brings us to populate this idea. So we start to a very different kind of methodology inquiry to detect the agent and the relationship with them, to shed a light on our ecosystem of innovation and how maybe this is not an ecosystem yet because there is a lot of agents, a lot of relationship, but not everyone knows everything. So we have a lack of information in some step, and I think this is the main obstacle to call these real innovation ecosystems. Well, we started to detect the individual agents, so SMEs and startup agents, and the catalyzer agent like the co-working, the incubators, accelerators, and then we are trying to put in place the main relationship between them. Briefly, we are too much. We are using three kind of different methodology of research to detect them. We use, of course, primary data by Statistical Office and Chamber of Commerce, and then we have done in-depth interview with the co-working and incubators, and then we have done an online survey to reach SMEs, innovative SMEs, and startup. Well, I don't bore you with all these kind of details, but of course, even a university is inside our ecosystem, University of Florence particularly, but not just the University of Florence. We have near to this town, other university towns. So it's very important to understand the relationship even between different kind of city and university system. When we look at the SMEs and startup, we have three kind of questions: where they locate themselves, which kind of relationship they have, and most importantly, which kind of obstacle they experienced in their really briefly past. To start up and become an SMEs, or to start up and become something else. Well, we have noticed that their location is like for the startup, even for SMEs, is the urban context, not inside the co-working or incubator, but in the urban center. And they choose this kind of place, first of all, because they choose the building, they choose this peculiar building, and after that, because there are logistic infrastructures, so facilities to reach this place. And only for the third place, on the third place, infrastructure, IT infrastructure. But this is, I think, an underestimate value, because they don't looking for IT infrastructure because they know there isn't IT infrastructure. So I don't choose based on that because I know there isn't, but they want that. After that, we have tried to understand where co-working is put in place, like this. We interview even Impact Hub. And we try to understand which kind of services they offer to SMEs and startups. And they are very, very kind with us, and they offer their time very hopefully for our research. And we try to categorize different kind of services divided in basic, mentoring, consultancy service, venture capital. That means they help to find venture capital. They don't do that. And the peculiar future. We have said that every one of these can put in place a peculiar service at a peculiar target, mainly based on the idea of their initial goals. We have co-working specialized in cooperative companies. We have co-working specialized in the sustain new parenthood, co-working specialized in IT and web app, certainly, so sectoral specification. And we have co-working, which main aims was to create a multitasking group of work. So very, very different specificity and very different answer to the job market, I think. And not only for the SMEs and the startup, but we have found that our co-working work even with large firms, global players, which have their headquarters in Florence. We have the lucky to have different kind of fashion global player, but even mechanical engineering global player in Florence, and they work with our co-working for peculiar services about work dislocation of their team. Well. When we ask which kind of obstacles they experienced, both co-working and SMEs and startup tell us that find financing is the most important obstacle. Find people to form the team to work together is the second one, and the third is financing project partners. So. On one side, the funding problem, and the other side, the partnership was the very main obstacle they experienced. And when we talk about financing, we have to take on our mind that private equity is the main sources of capital for this kind of SMEs, startup, and co-working, and only a little bit part of it try to fund using bank linkages or public funding. No one experienced business angel funding. This is even a cultural barrier for in general, for the Italian system, I can think. Well, we ask which kind of obstacle, if you don't found the fund, I'm sorry, which kind of obstacle is the main? Well, most of that tell us is very important, find the right kind of funding for what you need. So, and this is not because there is no fund, but this is because I don't know which kind of fund I can ask and where. So this is an information problem, an information mistake. After that, I don't know where I found information. So it's even more basic question. Which kind of a person or institution I can ask, I can reach to reach my goal. And also look for qualified personnel who could help me to fill the application. We have, I really don't know if this is common, but in Italy and in Tuscany region, we have a very hard, complex system to request fund. So always often we need a personnel specifically trained for doing that. Again, when the startup and SMEs tell us they are other kind of obstacle. They put in place the answer on the services they can receive for the territory, and in particular they tell us that they lack advice to understand how a new idea can find a marketplace. So a market analysis for new idea is one of services that they really value most and they can find. In the second place, creating a business model. So, well, I find my market, and then in which kind of organization of my work I can reach this kind of results. And only for, in the last place, they tell us this mentoring lack. From both SMEs and catalyzers, so co-working in incubators and accelerators, we ask some insight to try to give to our policymaker a basis to discuss for the services. Well, we received very strong answers from the co-working. We don't need free space. This is quite bizarre, because in an Italian way of life, I think this could be the first answer, and they do not that. They want to go to the market even for the space. They don't need the utility from the public local partner. But they were a better quality of working life, working environment. So they ask the enforcement of rental contracts. There is some kind of trouble in the Florence for that. Safety in their neighborhood, so they want to feel safe when they come to work, of course, even in the periphery. And of course, mobility. So this is the three main areas they told us they wish they improved. Economic sustainability for young people will come from outside. So I think this is feel very well with the topic of today. Young people in Florence have to sustain housing price very high, and not always they can use alternative mobility to move inside the city. So even the necessity to the co-workers are very important for the co-working itself. Needed to create a big attraction event for startups. Well, Lisboa can teach us very much on that with the Web Summit. It's really an interesting perspective to growing up a town on this kind of community. And well, incentives for innovative services, and of course ICT infrastructure. So they don't looking for ICT infrastructure, but they need that. Well, this is the first part of our work, and the second one I asked to Lorenzo to talk into you is the urban perspective for urban system view.
Good morning to everybody, and we start this analysis to find the common point between the localization of this kind of economy. The first part look regional for all the Tuscany region, and we can see that there is three common points of localization for this new economy. The first one is the conurbation or the part of Florence, Prato, and Pistoia in the north of Tuscany, and this fact is by a strong concentration of infrastructure and structure. The second point is the presence of university, and we can see that the more of this firm's enterprise is located in the three cities with university: Pisa, Siena, and Florence. And the third point in common is the infrastructure, the rail track, the railways. Every city got a station, have also this kind of economy. Here is a focus on the metropolitan area Florence, and we can see better the part of the railway is the blue track, and there is a ring, a strong ring around this part. And obviously the strong localization of all this kind of economy in this plan area. The next focus is on Florence and some peri-urban municipality. We can see how the high quality of urbanity located in the center of the Florence. This index was made by us by a merge with three basic index. The first one is the density of local firms, local enterprises. The second index is the local services, public services, density per square kilometer, and to create the beauty, the presence of ancient and historical building in the area. And we can see the center of Florence, it's full of this one. So the first kind that we analyze is the co-work. Co-work don't need of structural elements, but infrastructural elements. So we can notice that all this kind of economy is located in something like 400 meters between every big infrastructure, like the basic route, or the railways, the station, the bus station. And this why? Because 400 meters is the maximum distance that you are disposed to go by walk. So it's all easy to be reached. The only one is the IUF, the co-work of University of Florence. That it's a new structure, it's a new building of property of the university, and it's located a distance between everything, but he is an it's a building created with this goal. So it's full of other elements that facilitate the create of new economy. After we study the startup, and here is startup have two elements to localizate it. The first one is the urban quality, how to say before. And the second one is the presence of co-work. The third categories is the OHT, but in English is better say high technologies firms. And they're located, this is not the urbanity quality, but it's the presence of other enterprises, of other firms. And because this kind of economy give a service to other firms. And we can see that where his full of other enterprises, other firms. There is a lot of HTF. And also in purple area is the functional, the industrial zone is another point to catalyze this kind of economy.
Finally, just some remarks very quickly. We are out of time. I'm sorry. Well, Metropolitan City of Florence has a large number of new actors offering a very different kind of services to startups and SMEs. And there is a very potential innovation ecosystems. We just need to look better the infologistic infrastructures which are perceived as one of the main problems of the city and of the relationship between agents. Partnership and networking seems to be a real issue, so not just for the public-private partnership, but even between new agents, innovative SMEs, and the global player on our territory. And at least we can see that agents and relationship needs more effective information flow. This is the real conundrum in this area. So boosting the possibility to know each other and share the information and share the obstacle and share the possibility. So this is, I think, the real plus that a public administration could do to improve this kind of ecosystem. Well, I thank you all for the attention.
Stay there. No, stay there. Okay, congratulations. And I think there are a lot of inspiring aspects in your two presentations, which I would like to let's say, develop and use as an argument for further reflections. But before going there, I would like to ask the audience about their impressions on this presentation. It can be something new or something familiar to you. So my first question to the audience, who would like to answer, is do you have anything similar in mind from your respective countries or innovation systems that you could use to compare and maybe challenge the conclusions of this study? Who would like to take the first? Nobody? So I assume there is nothing comparable in your areas, and this reinforces me in my appreciation of what I have just seen. Let me provoke you again by using another keyword that was probably not used by them, but very implicit in their words, which is the keyword network. I think we will hear very much today this word. My impression, so my first question or comment, my impression from your two presentations is that we are in a sort of strange situation. We are somehow listening to the entrepreneurs, and by the way, a side question is how many respondents did you have, no? Because it makes a difference if they were dozens or hundreds. But based on the replies that you received, overall, the importance of the network, the existence of a network was considered as a very important justification for creating a company right there, right in the area. And paradoxically, but this is also in your conclusions, when we looked at the answers received, what were the main problems, the main challenges, apart from the thematic domain, for all thematic domains, one of the problems was that the network didn't function enough. It didn't deliver what it was supposed to deliver, so the relationships were not enough informative or useful or productive for the startup entrepreneurs that you interviewed. And this contrasts with the the images and the pictures that you have shown. So it looks like the area of Florence or the area of Tuscany has more or less all the railways, but no trains, or very few trains that leave from time to time, and we don't know, unless we sit down and wait at the station for the next train, we will not know when the train comes, where it will go, and maybe the people that we can meet on the train. Is this representation realistic? And if so, what could be, not the answers, but what could be the stakeholders to look for, searching for answers? Policymakers, the existing intermediaries, new intermediaries, the university. Up to you. You are silent.
Okay. Well, I'll try to give you an answer. So the first one on the methodology, this is an ongoing investigation. So just for now, we have 100 of answer, but we can use just enough of this one, because not always SMEs who answer is very innovative, so we needed to choose which answer we want. And for now is 61, I think, the SMEs with a good answer. But it's an ongoing investigation, so maybe we will see. After that, I think it is not a paradox. We have a lot of agents, a lot of catalyzer even, but each one work and doing just in their neighborhood. They don't speak a lot. I see in the past meeting inside the SPEEDUP meeting in Florence, so between local agents, and there is a lot of them, they don't know each other. Even in public domain, and even between peculiar agent as a catalyzer. So I think there is a lot of work to do, and I think it's not the only answer. I'm aware. The policymakers is one step, but they can't do that alone. The importance of ecosystem, and I think this is different between ecosystem and network. Network connected just one or two dots, but an ecosystem evolving time. So I think the interaction between agents can produce something new and different between instead of the sum of the parts. So I think a dialogue and, of course, a lot of work for the policymaker to animate this kind of interaction is fundamental. More than free space, more than infrastructure. This is, I think, the real conundrum for the public authorities.
Do you agree or disagree? What is your impression based on what you know from your respective innovation systems? Is there anyone who would like to take? No? Okay. You're too shy today. Don't forget, we have the coffee break. Huh? Only for the good guys. Okay, I think we can close here. And so I thank you very much. A big round of applause to our speakers. Congratulations. And now let's go to the first of the two panel sessions that we have today. First of all, some technical information. We definitely miss the representative of the Lisbon City Council because of the travel issues I was mentioning before, while our Belgian colleague, Jonathan Stuyven, will connect after the coffee break through Skype. So the first session is only at the moment made with the presence of two persons, Luisa Valdeschi from Vivaio per l'Intraprendenza and Anita Beblek from Agratire. Question for the other panelists coming from the second session. Is there any of you who would like to put the presentation forward? Just to populate. Okay, I assume you are Rivo, right? Okay. So Rivo, welcome. So Rivo will join the first panel session together with Luisa and Anita, and help me keep the gender equality in this round. So I would like to invite then Luisa Valdeschi to come to the floor. Okay, I didn't see you. Welcome. And so now, depending on the timing, I would say you have 7 minutes for your presentation, plus 3 minutes for questions. And so let's try to...
I'll try. I'll do my best. First of all, thank you very much. I would like to thank the Municipality of Florence for inviting us here to introduce you the presentation of Vivaio per l'Intraprendenza, Nursery for Entrepreneurship. We are quite an old good practice because we started a long time ago in 2006. And our focus is we work with people and we work with people to create entrepreneurs. We focus on each person that comes to the services and we provide custom-made services for their needs. This is our focus. I'll go very fast in our history. We started in 2006. We were supported by the region of Tuscany, the Municipality of Florence, the Chamber of Commerce of Florence, and the province of Florence. And we were providing services for startup in the city of Florence to anyone, women, migrants, young people. And in 2013, we turned our business and we started an association for social promotion. And since 2013, we are providing services to anyone who has a business idea or needs to start a self-employment activity or a business. Our aims are to promote self-employment and self-entrepreneurship. We would like to support the local economic development and social inclusion through the creation and the development of micro and SMEs and self-employment. But most of all, we are interested in developing the entrepreneurial mindset. Before deciding to start a business, you need to have the idea that starting a business is possible. For this reason, we work with people asking us to develop a business. We work on 2 levels. First of all, we work on the person, on their motivation and on their skills. To start a business, you must be motivated and you have to have the right skills. There's no other way. Nobody can do the business for you. On the other side, we provide training and we test the idea on the market. We help the person that comes to our Vivaio to identify the market they want to be in and to check their idea in that market. Then we work with them about resources. We work with them to write and draft a business plan. This is our approach. And the services we provide are several. And we think these are quite interesting and quite new. As I told you, we work very much on the entrepreneurial mindset. For this, we work mostly with students and young people. We work with graduates from university, and we work with them especially to start thinking that they have to take their lives in their hands, and they can decide, not necessarily all of them, but eventually, they can start a business. They can create their own job. And to do that, we have to work on their motivation. We have to work on their entrepreneurial mindset. To do this, we work with young students using the Youth Guarantee Scheme of Regione Toscana. We have an interesting scheme which is called Palestra per l'Intraprendenza, which means the gym of entrepreneurship. And we work with this with university students and graduates. And we train them like if they had to, get stronger and pump their muscles. We train them to start a business. We also work with needs, not in employment, education, nor training. This is quite an important issue right now in Italy. And one of the most recent projects we did, which is very innovative, is this Impulso project. And we introduced theater and training to start a business. Theater, the group of people that are participating right now, had a whole month of theater training, and they had to stage a show. We had our premiere in Teatro Nicolini at the end of November. And this group of people are now going through a job coaching seminar in which they will develop their curriculum vitae and their action plan. Then we will have a problem-solving workshop in January. They will solve problems proposed by businesses of the area. So they will work together to find solutions for our enterprises. And then they will do a job placement period, an internship of 2 months between February and March and April. This is absolutely new, and this is the way we work. Matching different things, sport and business, theater and business, as far as we can motivate, as far as we can help people find a new drive. This is our mission. Our services go from business idea generation. This is a very common and very useful training, because most of the people that come to Vivaio not necessarily have a business idea. They know they need to do something with themselves, but not necessarily what. So we work with them with design thinking and creative techniques so that they can develop a business idea that can match the market. We work with them to write an action plan, and we use the business model canvas crash course. We help them establish the model of their business idea or of their self-employment activity. We drive and we draft with them a business plan, a real business plan. Market analysis, project development, and budget, investments. And we can help them find a possibility of financing their project through the public calls and tenders. The last part of our activity is business coaching and networking. We are now an association. We have members, and members are those people that started a business with us or decided to participate in the Vivaio activities. We created a community of SMEs. And this community takes advantage of the services we provide. We provide advice for their business growth, financial support, innovation, information, internationalization. We organize study visits abroad to meet other enterprises in other countries, in other markets. We organize seminars and workshops focused on specific topics according to the needs of our members. And we also provide advice and support in monitoring and assessing their results achieved, and also to check the public grants and loans available. This is part of the community. This is part of the richness that being together these new entrepreneurs find. In 2006, as I told you, we used to be a service providing services, and we were financed. We had the support and the sponsorship of the municipality, of the province, of the municipality, and of the Chamber of Commerce. And in these years, from 2006 to 2013, we had over 500 counseling sessions, and we had 3,297 beneficiaries. Most of them are women, and most of them are Italian, but we also had a good percentage of foreigners. We created 126 new startups and 179 new jobs. So these are important numbers, and we really thank the municipality for this and the sponsors. Since 2013, we are an association. We do not have the same amount of financial support we used to, so we provide only specific projects to specific target groups, according to the projects we find around. And most of our work is voluntary work. In this situation, since 2013, we had 1,000 counseling sessions, 987 beneficiaries of specialized services. We had 341 startups and 645 students. Most of them are women, and we still have 9% of foreigners. So this is very interesting for us. 68 new startups and 102 new jobs created. I hope I have 1 second, but we think it's very important, and I think it also gives an answer to the previous presentation. What do we consider our innovative character? We focus on the person that comes. We do not have business schemes ready-made for anyone. We really concentrate on their needs, on their motivation, on their skills, on the business idea in the market they want to enter, and the resources they have. This means the first step is we make a plan with them, and we give them the need they ask for, and what we think they might be useful for them. Second, networking. We started Vivaio di Imprese in 2006, and the first idea was mapping all of the services that were available on the territory, not only Florence, but Tuscany in general. We believe that we need to network with anyone who deals with businesses in the area. And we also developed this network abroad, finding partners in other countries, because we think that the network gives you ideas and possibilities and creates chances. So this is what we focus on. What we learned is we need to be flexible. And this means we answer to the needs, but we're also an open organization, very flexible organization. We answer the phone late in the evening, early in the morning, sometimes on Sunday, because we need to answer as fast as we can. Diversity. We ask our network to be diverse, women, young people, older people, with all experiences, because diversity is richness. If you look for people that are like you, you will not get any new information. Continuous innovation. This is why we try theater and business. This is why we try sport and business. We will try cookery and business, as long as we can continuously innovate our process. But we have two weak points, and I think this is useful for the discussion. This continuous offer. It's very difficult to provide a continuous offer because of lack of resources. And the target we have most of the time is a weak target. If we are talking about need, if you're talking about women, if you're talking about young people, it's very difficult to ask them for a huge amount of money. So most of the services are for free. And this means that we have to wait sitting at the train station for a bus or a train to come when we have the resources to do the project. Last, it's very difficult to monitor, because it's very difficult to have a continuous relationship with the people that come. But we believe that what we're doing is useful and does have a significance. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Luisa. Congratulations. I think a lot of inspiring words. And if there is anyone that would like to make a question to Luisa, please introduce yourself for the benefit of the others.
Yes. Hi, everybody. My name is Maria Petrucci, and I am one of the founders of Spazio Costanza, which is a co-working place. And I would like to ask how you test the idea on the market, because I wish I met you before.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. we work with the people that intend to start a business very much on the marketing side. So we test the budget, but we also ask them to make a thorough market analysis with our help, but a thorough market analysis, segmenting and finding the numbers for their business. So, of course, most of the people that come do not have a huge amount of money, so they have to do, you know, a homemade analysis, but good enough to know how big is going to be their market and how many segments they can serve. And this is very useful because most of the time we have people that come, they love their idea, they have the colors of the curtains, they know how to call it, they start from the website, but you know, our work is to insist, who are your clients? Where are your clients? How many clients do you have? Why should they buy you? And this is what we do with them thoroughly before they start. Because if they do not have a market, we suggest them to wait and maybe think over because it's not the right moment to start.
Thank you, Luisa. Another big round of applause for her. Thank you. So our next speaker, she knows that already. See, our next speaker is coming from Germany, and I think you will offer another perspective, the perspective of science in relation with business. So the floor is yours. Welcome, Anita.
Yeah, good morning, and thank you for having the opportunity to speak to you and give a little introduction about bridging the gap between science and practice in terms of young scientists and creating entrepreneurship for young scientists and getting innovative ideas into the market. First of all, I would like to give you a little bit of a background because Agrater is a specific company dedicated for a specific market, which is the land use sector and the agricultural sector. So this is our field of expertise. And as you can see, we are quite a young team. I think the average age across the whole team is about 37 years. And you can also see that we are very encouraged to promote female careership also in agriculture and scientists' entrepreneurship. I have to give you a little bit of a background so you could understand what we are doing and why we are doing what we are doing. As you may know, in Germany we have a different kind of scientific and research system as you have here in Italy. We have universities, but on the other hand, we have four independent research organizations that are non-university research organizations. These are Fraunhofer, Max Planck Institute, Helmholtz Association, and Leibniz Associations. And all these research organizations are funded mainly by public money, but organized as a private institution and cooperation. And in the land use and agricultural sector in Germany, we have a couple and a handful of research organizations. And our host organization, the Leibniz Center for Agricultural Landscape Research, very long name, in short SALF, is one of the largest research institutes in Germany in terms of agricultural research and has a long-standing tradition. One of the main problems in the research area for agricultural research is that innovations do take a lot of time to come from the idea into the market. The average time, there is an OECD study, says it's about 40 to 50 years from developing an innovative idea to getting it into the market, no matter where in Europe. So you can see there's a long cycle to get innovations off from the ground into real life. And this is also the background of the idea behind why Agrater was founded, because there is a need to professionalize the transfer from science into practice, into innovative ideas. And this was the starting point for our research institute to found Agrater together with other shareholders as a private company dedicated to innovation and knowledge transfer. And this is also one reason why our mission is institutionalized as a private company to foster knowledge transfer into society, into economy, but also into policy making. And our business model is, I think, trying to incorporate the whole value chain that you have, going from innovative ideas from science into business applications. And the specific aim is that we provide these services as in one hand for our customers, which are basically scientists, young scientists, but also older scientists, and I will come to it in a later point, why that is important. We were founded trying to be a green innovation hub in a rural area. Agrater is located in Müncheberg. Müncheberg is about 45 kilometers into the east from Berlin, and it's a very rural landscape and rural area. We don't have a lot of young population around, and that is also one of the main driving factors why one of these pillars to support young scientists was originally created to try to foster young people staying in the rural area and also coming to this rural area. So as you can see, our business model comprises 4 pillars. We are a dedicated innovation support service for farmers, obviously, because they have a large requirement for innovative ideas, putting them into their own practice. Then we also aim to develop innovative, sustainable products within our company, together with researchers, scientists, but also people from the practice side, also huge companies trying to develop really new, innovative techniques as a product to sell it to the market. And then we have an institutionalized knowledge transfer to the policy side and to the administrative side, where we are trying to guide them into developing new programs that are tailor-made for encouraging innovative ideas in the agricultural sector. So basically we are a consultancy also for them. And then our 4th pillar is to support young scientists in creating innovation and startups, and I will show you how that works and what the specific challenges are. One of the biggest challenges we have, at least in Germany, is that young people in research organizations are not trained to create an innovative idea and then bringing it into a business model or into an end application. So they lack completely these kind of skills and that kind of thinking also. Plus, there is another obstacle. It is not really encouraged by our German system to be an entrepreneur as a young researcher, because the grading system in terms of how you develop your career is all about high-ranked peer-reviewed publications, but not about innovative product development. So they do this in their free time and not during their main working time. And there is also, especially in the rural area where Zalf is located and we are located too, and that's probably a problem across Europe, as I can see so far. That is the lack of an ecosystem that is on the ground, where you can meet people, where you have network, where you can exchange ideas. Other than, for example, in Berlin, where you can just go to a coffee shop and you have tens of people there who are talking about new business ideas. And our approach to overcome these challenges is basically to have a service, basically like you have, all in one hand, and offer that all as one dedicated team. And this is why it is so important that we are, as I showed you on the first slide, we are a transdisciplinary team. I'm a lawyer, we have a business economist, we have someone from HR, we have someone from marketing, and all the features in terms of technical expertise that is also located within SALF, which means agronomist, ecologist, and so forth. And that is, from my perspective, very important because we can, on the one hand, understand the questions, the technical questions, the expertise questions, but also give business advice, and that is very crucial. And that is also one of the most successful items I could think about how to enforce ecosystems for innovations. And basically in the agricultural sector, we call that from farm to fork approach. So that means the whole value chain from an idea to trying to create some methods like design thinking to explore the idea further and then give advice in terms of financial advice, legal advice, and technical advice, and then to test it. We are also a test incubator, so all the business ideas can be tested within Agrater. We provide all the facility for that. And then the young scientists can basically decide what they want to do. Either they can found their own business startup and go to the market on their own, or they can use us as a protective incubator where they can grow up, and after 5, 6, 7 years, whenever they want, then they can come out of Agrater and do their own business, or they can stay forever if they want. And this is, for example, why part of the team you saw, they had an idea, they came to us, and then they stayed because it is very interesting for them to have all these different projects they are basically working on, and this is why they just stayed within Agrater. And just to give you an example how that works, this is our latest startup, which was just founded in September 2017. It's called Morph Green Tech. Two young female scientists from SALF had an idea about an integrated mobile energy solar cube that is portable and autonomous, and where you can basically go wherever you want, have it in your either backpack or whatever, and then you can recharge your phone and your laptop on the go, and you can fold it, and it's like this glass, not larger. If you fold it, and if you unfold it, it's about this kind of a tablet sheet size. And it has the possibility also in areas where you don't have any electricity, like in third world countries, to have your battery recharged. And what is so specific about it? The one young lady came from Nepal with a scholarship to SALF, and then she got her PhD, and then she thought, no, I just want to start something on my own. And that was by beginning of last year, and we gave her all the counseling and the mentoring she needed, and then now we got there, and she's very happy to have both sides. The one thing, her scientific career, but she also was able to grow up with her business idea, and now as a founder have a company.
Any questions for Anita? Introduce yourself, please.
Sure, Manuel Montoya from the Chamber of Commerce of Seville. It's no question, but I would really like to praise you because you had a really quiet challenge. Because if you take, if you take the keywords, young people, rural area, science, entrepreneurship, so this is like a huge, how is it going to work with this team? And so I just want to praise because those are specific, because we are talking about these specific target groups, and this one is a quiet challenge to try to get the people, young people in science, people in rural areas, and then you tell them, you have to become entrepreneur? Wow, that's amazing, really.
Not everything was golden from the beginning. When we started, our process to start Agrater just started in 2009, and we were the first, basically, in Germany from the Leibniz Association's research organizations to start a private knowledge and technology transfer company. There was nothing like that before. So we had a lot of objectives and hurdles to overcome. And at the beginning, everyone was like, so why do you need that? What's that for? And I think it took us about until 2013 and 2014 that the real potential was also seen from both the scientific side, everywhere in Germany. So we got invited to a couple of talks and speeches as the idea was growing in terms of, we should do that also. And secondly, from an administrative perspective, that was also quite new, but I'm very happy to see now that in the agricultural sector, this idea has taken on, and for example, DG Agri, the commission body for the agricultural sector, has implemented now the tool of European Innovation Partnerships, which is basically the same idea, putting that into the field of agriculture across Europe. So, yeah, but it was not there from the beginning. It was quite a development process.
Thank you very much, and a big applause again to Anita. Thank you. Now, I would like to invite to the floor Rivo Ristop from Estonia to introduce us to the Estonian Startup Visa Initiative. I hope there is no problem in finding the presentation now that we have this change of order of slides. Okay.
Okay.
Microphone, and when the slides will be ready.
Yes, thank you. So I will start and hopefully the slides will follow. So thank you for the opportunity to share about Startup Estonia and the Startup Visa program. So I'm from Startup Estonia. It's the main startup policy implementer in Estonia. And Startup Visa is just one of our activities that I can tell you today about. But before I go into it, I just like to give you a bit of a feeling about the numbers and what it is in Estonia. So we're only like a country of 1.3 million people. And, but the startup landscape is booming. So we have 430, a bit more startups, which makes us #1 per capita in Europe. And then in the world, it's #2. Israel is still ahead of us. And I'm happy to see that actually the Estonian startup landscape is maturing. Startups are raising bigger and bigger rounds of money. They're creating more and more work. So every year we see that plus 25% people go to work for startups in Estonia. And there are 70 organizations that actually help startups are there to do it. And the way that we work at Startup Estonia is that we believe that there are like 4 focuses that describe a well working startup ecosystem. So first of all, the ecosystem as such has to be strong, so the community has to be close together. And when we heard about earlier that networks can be created, ecosystems have to evolve, then definitely I believe in that. And the way they evolve the best is when the ones who are leading them are the ones who have actually done the startups themselves. So now we're in the phase that we see that founders that have already been successful themselves are putting back to the community and creating startup hubs, doing different mentoring activities, trainings, and we from the public side can only help them to scale. And we are in the look for where the market actually isn't working well and where it actually makes sense for the public to intervene. So we are funded from the EU that actually gives us some stability, and with this stability we can help kickstart the new initiatives on the Estonian ecosystem as well. And I talk about Estonia because it's so small, because earlier on we heard about Florence, about Tuscan, and so in Estonia there are like 2 bigger cities around which you have ecosystems, but they are like 180 kilometers from each other and actually work a lot together. So usually just Estonia, but there are of course like smaller areas as well. So ecosystem, has to work well together. People need the skills. The skills they need help with, training has to be available for them. And if in the private market there isn't something there, then we can help create that sort of activities. Then third on smart money, so they need money for growing. And fourth, we go friendly regulation, so everything from the government or the law side where it doesn't work out for the startups well, that they need some changes, then we act as a lobby organization as well. And this actually brings me to today's topic. So January this year, we launched the Estonian Startup Visa Scheme. And all in all, the government can do like 2 things. First of all, get off the way and that the companies and startups do their business as easy as possible. And then there are some places where they actually have to go in and help the ecosystem. And sorry for the fonts. Looks like either I'm losing my eyesight or they always go smaller. So the challenge actually that Estonia as a whole, Estonian entrepreneurship and also startups are struggling with is that the number of people entering the job market is getting lower and lower. So by 2040 actually it's more than 100,000 people. And today in the ICT sector we have according to different estimations 3,000 to 8,000 free employments, and so it's hard to actually fill them organically. So our universities I think are doing a good job, but the market actually evolves so quickly that you can't meet demand. And secondly, every ecosystem actually needs multicultural startups, and also a great number of them. So we are taking part of different surveys. One of them is the most known Startup Genome that does startup ecosystem rankings all over the world. And they say that in order to move from the activation, like the early stage of an ecosystem involvement, to the globalization phase, and then the later on phases, you need at least 10,000 startups. So that's something that we're working on achieving. So if organically it takes a while to match the need or grow new ICT specialists, then you like a quicker fix is you have to be open for migration. And so we created the Startup Visa Scheme earlier this year, and it has actually 2 aims. One is to help third country startup founders access Estonia and also other European markets through Estonia. And for this, they get visa or residency permit for very good terms. And secondly, also to fuel the growth of Estonian startups, they need to be able to employ people from whichever country they're from, and do this quickly and on good terms. And so this is why we have two focuses. Once we started with creating the Estonian visa scheme, we weren't the first comer. So it's maybe good, maybe bad, but the good part was that we could learn from the experience of other countries, for example, Netherlands and Denmark. And eventually we could create a scheme where we have actually parts, like good parts of what has worked for others, and created a solution that actually is a bit like wider than just attracting founders, as is the normal case for startup visas in Europe. So first, from the founder perspective, so I have like a lot of information here. So I'm just gonna slide over them very quickly, but later on, when you hopefully the slides will be shared with you, then you can read further about it. So the biggest problem for startup founders was that to get access to Estonia, you had to get the residency permit for entrepreneurship. And this actually demanded you to invest like 65,000 euros into your Estonian business. So for startups, we actually created a visa scheme and also a temporary residence permit scheme. And you don't actually have to invest this money. So instead of like creating high monetary thresholds, we created a bit different system. So the innovativeness of this Estonian startup visa scheme actually, next to having like good terms, actually comes from the process. So again, good experiences. Like in Netherlands, for example, you have, if a startup wants to go there, you have to have a local partner. And then you can be fast-tracked for a visa. So we have this here as well. So there are two accelerators. If you get into one of them, you're fast-tracked. But then there's also a longer route, or the normal route, in case you don't want to go to an accelerator, just want access to Europe, just want to do a business in an environment where it actually is easy to do it. Then in that case, we set up a process where in the first step, you will basically pitch your idea to a community, a startup community. We call it a startup committee. And it's made up of 7 startup organizations in Estonia. We have their accelerators, we have their Estonian business angels, we have their seasoned startup founders. We are there ourselves as well. And so in the first step, just the person makes an online application, very similar, long one-pager as if you would be applying for an angel investment. And in 10 working days, actually, will get an answer if should be able to pursue the startup visa or not. So what we do is guys who work with startups every day do the evaluation of the business idea, instead of handing this to migration officers that might not get it. And once a founder gets a yes vote from them, then it can go to Estonian embassy, or if in Estonia already, then to our police, and apply for the actual visa, which is for a year, or a residency permit, which is up to 5 years. And the second option, so if this founder is now in Estonia doing business, we actually consider it already an Estonian startup. So they have the same opportunities to employ people from outside of EU as Estonia local ones. And so there are, again, for startups, better conditions to employ. All in all, our startup sector is paying very good salaries. So it's more than twice the median salary in Estonia. But they do it once they are self-sustainable or can provide this. In the early days, when instead of paying high salaries, they might pay maybe less and instead have some option schemes for the employees. This was a no from the migration law perspective. You had to provide or normal companies still do, have to provide the people they're employing the Estonian average salary. And there are some other criteria there as well. But for startups, we actually could take the salary criteria away. Now only they have to pay them the minimum salary in Estonia, which is only like 400 and a bit more euros a month. And they can have the option schemes that come on top of it, and they usually do. And once they are there, that the company is better funded, then what we see is that they provide very good salaries as well. So I also have a background from the minister's side. I was at the Ministry of Economic Affairs in Estonia. So from the government side, what the government does is that instead of getting like small employment taxes up front and with that actually constraining the growth of startups, it now gives startups a longer runway. It doesn't take the taxes yet, but takes them later on, and actually the benefit is even better. And again, so we in Estonia actually track every startup that we have. So when I said 430, then go to startupestonia.ee and you see those 430. And you see them in which sector they are, how many people they have on the payroll, who their founders are, so on and forth. And so when we launched the visa scheme, then we said, you guys, we believe you're startups, so you can use the scheme by default. And now that new startups come, then we will evaluate them the same way as if we would the startups coming from outside of other countries. So yes, so the ones we are already listed, they can use it, and then it's the same process as with foreign founders. When a foreign founder comes to Estonia, then he lets himself be evaluated if I'm a startup, if I should be able to come. If Estonia startup wants to bring people, then applies to our committee, and we again give them the approval that he's a startup, and they can do the employment. Sorry, I'm probably over the time, but until I'm not interrupted. So these are the numbers. So in 9 months, that was by the end of October actually, we had already 250 companies applying to our committee. And out of them, more than 40% actually had been accepted. And so the rate is growing. So today we already have 300 applications. And there are some countries that there is more interest from. And so this year we were piloting it, doing a bit also roadshows about what Estonia has to offer. And this is a tool just to come and enjoy those opportunities that are there. And so yeah, first founders or 40 or so are already there and working as well. But there are challenges, of course. So we ourselves see the startup visa scheme as a government startup. So the first thing is that the startup committee, the 7 organizations that are there evaluating, they're doing pro bono. So it's their way of giving back to the startup ecosystem. So if you get like 5 to 10 applications a week, which we do at the moment, they can handle it. Once it gets above 10, you know, they have their everyday jobs as well. So the question is, will it actually collapse this system? And we've had those peaks where it's more than 10. So that's something that we have to look at for the next year. And the second thing is that we are doing a lot to attract startups here. So please do come. Everything is ready for it. Just come here. But once they're here, then they need actually someone to hold their hand. So help them integrate to the society. And actually with like everyday things where how can I find a flat to rent and so where I can go to shop. So that's the questions that we get, but since we are a team of 6 people and only basically 1 guy dealing with this project, then at the moment we can't handle it. So for us it's a challenge. We have to find a way to offer the soft landing package, and it's definitely needed. And yeah, so what I've learned is that before we actually came public with this visa scheme, we should have gone through the customer journey. So for every product, you have to do it. So if you would have seen actually the places where this problematic areas are for those founders coming here, where they get those questions, and then actually where is the limit for us to be able to cooperate, or how much can we scale until it all collapses. So that's something that we didn't do and we're doing now. So would have been wise to do it before that. And yeah, as with every like startup, there's the feedback loop: build, measure, learn, build, measure, learn. So we try to do that as well. The good part is that the Estonian, as the land is also the government is flat. So it's the good part. I'm happy to say that the officials and also the prime minister are very accessible. So we launched this scheme in a year. So proposed it to in a year we had it live, and in the middle there was a change of government from a right side to left side government, but it still went through. So apparently they believe in it as well. So we look at the process and we try to gather as much feedback from the startups as possible. The founders coming here and also the people coming to work for startups, and then make the process better and better for them. So thank you. I'm Rivo from Startup Estonia. Yes, I'm the head of Startup Visa, but I've been around with the team for quite a few years now. So anything you want to know about the startup ecosystem, just reach out to me. Thank you.
We have time for just one quick question to Rivo.
Congratulations for your program. What was your expectation at the beginning of this project?
Yeah, thank you for this question. So before, in the last year, I think it was November, so we did set some KPIs for the Estonian visa scheme. So the expectation for this year was to have a smooth process. So pilot the way it works, and for the next year then make it even better. So just to get the process going, that it would actually work out for the startup founders coming here. And also I hope that there is interest. But from the numbers side, so I thought that, 100 applications is something that we have to go for, but probably we will never make it. And now it's a bit more. So that was the expectation, yeah, thank you.
I saw another question there. We keep the gender equality.
I'm interested in why is it the Ukraine that you have most participants from? Is there a specific reason for that?
Yeah, thank you. So there are actually quite a few reasons. So first of all is that the awareness of Estonian business culture in Ukraine is pretty high. And why it's high? Because there have been some dedicated campaigns there. So for example, we have a program called Work in Estonia, which is focused on attracting ICT specialists to work for Estonian, like large ICT companies, startups as well, but like bigger companies as well. And they've been doing like campaigns there for a few years now. Secondly, we have a lot of startup cooperation with Ukraine. So Garage 48 is one non-profit organization, very active in Estonia, started in Estonia, and they're doing like this 48-hour hackathons from an idea to a prototype. They started in Estonia quite a few years ago, and they are doing many hackathons in Ukraine every year. And so the maybe green startup founders that go there, they actually get the feeling or get exposed to what Estonia has to offer, and yeah, now they're also like doing those things in the Eastern, like post-Soviet Union countries, but also like in Africa and then all around the world. So and the third aspect, so I think that there has been like work done to raise the awareness what Estonia has to offer, and also one thing that we can't neglect is like the similar cultural background and heritage. So we are probably looking more and more in those post-Soviet countries where actually the ICT talent quality is very high. In Ukraine, it's super high. And but this hasn't been noticed. This has been noticed by all of the countries. So when a few years ago it was pretty easy maybe to attract people from Ukraine to work for European countries, companies, then now you're actually head-to-head there with Israel, with guys from Silicon Valley, and so they know that there's talent there. And so I think it's a mix. It's a mix of things.
3 wonderful presentations, and I think they all deserve, including Luisa and Anita and Rivo, a very big applause from your side. So thank you very much. Now to the coffee break. We reconvene at 11:45.